Welcome back to my channel. So here it is, my 2025 bullet journal setup. It's probably one of the biggest videos I think you can make as someone who bullet journals, and let's get into it. So this year I chose an Art Olive A5 notebook. Last year I used Shop ARL's notebook, and that was great. Like, I had no problems with it. But I came across this one and it was super pretty. I do a full unboxing in my migration video, so you can check that out for more details there. But this one was super pretty and I just knew I had to use it as my journal for 2025. So diving straight in, I usually skip the first page, which is like that nameplate where you put in your name. Some people put their contact info if they lose this. I generally don't fill that out. My journal rarely leaves my house. And then usually for that first page one, it usually does not fold open easily. Of course, this is the first time that it did, but because I already planned to glue that onto the nameplate page, I'm still going to continue with that. So the first actual page that I start in here is actually page 2. This notebook is not numbered, but this is the second page technically. So I'm going to start off with using these, I guess, washi stickers. I think that's what they were called on the packaging, from Daiso. You could use them as like frames or something, but I decided I was going to use them as the corner to decorate all of my spreads. That'll be a consistent theme throughout all of my pages. And so this first spread is going to be my year at a glance, which you'll see that I printed out a calendar. Of course, I printed it out on recycled paper, and I chose one that had a lot of ink on it, of course, but I didn't want to reprint it. Also this year, in the interest of time and keeping things consistent, I printed all of my headers on label paper, which is sticky, and then I also colored in the first letter of each word gold with my gold gel pen, so it still had that reflective, shiny part. I'll also be using washi tape that goes with my color palette, and then the one that I'm actually using here actually matches the notebook really perfectly, and I didn't realize that. So that was very exciting. And some stickers that I've had for a while. Most of them will be from Notebook Therapy. And that's pretty much it. For the year at a glance, I'm going to be highlighting work holidays, appointments, things like that, just so I have it quickly at a glance. I never really used a future log when I used to have it in my journal, so I've gotten rid of it and generally use my Google Calendar as a way of tracking things that are so far in advance. Moving on to the cover, this is probably the only page that I actually really doodled or sketched anything out. And I wanted to kind of try to match the art design on the cover, not like exactly the same pattern or anything, but to me this looks kind of like a mix of Art Deco and Art Nouveau. And since I've done some like Art Deco inspired art in my journals in the past, I wanted to go more in the Art Nouveau direction. I actually didn't realize like how many floral designs and stuff that I like are actually Art Nouveau inspired. So I picked a few simple designs, because keyword simple, and kind of put something together. Again, I'm not the best artist, so I think this is really achievable for anyone. You can find so many examples online of Art Nouveau, borders, patterns. So here I wanted to walk you through coloring in 2025, which is what I will be using as my main header in the middle of this page. So I took this Sakura Jelly Roll pen and filled in over the black ink with the gel pen. I really like this because it gave a nice metallic gold feel, and so it's still shiny and it's like really reminiscent of what's on the cover. And so I thought that was another way to tie in the cover. But again, it's not like you have to match your theme or even have a theme for your yearly collections for your bullet journal. It's just something I felt like I wanted to do because I really like the color palette and the design of this journal. So I cut each of the numbers out individually, and then we're going to cut around it so it's not just like a square. And then I'm going to peel the backing off and stick those into my journal. And they'll go into the center of the page a little spaced out, and that's the cover page, and it's simply titled 2025 since that is the year. And then I went in with several different Tombow dual brush pen markers, each related to this color palette on the front. So I use a lot of greens, yellows. I threw in some blues because the cover is kind of like blue-green. It's more green than blue, but I really like that blue that I picked. And then I have a couple neutral colors in my palette, like a very light beige, tan, and a very light gray to complement it. And everything that I'm using, I will try to put in the description box below, including the Tombow colors. And I felt like I needed an extra color on this cover, so I came in with a red color here. Although you won't see the red in the rest of the spreads, I just thought it would look really nice with some of the more like flowery designs here. There is actually a lot of like reds and oranges in Art Nouveau designs, so it felt like it really worked, and it worked well with that color palette. That's pretty much it for my cover. It is actually relatively simple, even if it took me a little longer to sketch that out. A lot of my spreads are pretty simple actually, because eventually they're going to be filled up with like words or pictures. And so I didn't want to crowd the page too much. I wanted to leave space for the actual information that I wanted to capture and document. Here I'm setting up my 2025 vision board. I created a spread like this. Last year, and I really enjoyed filling it out and like printing pictures and collaging and putting stickers on there. I actually did do a few things off my vision board. Like I don't believe in like manifestation and stuff like that, but I do think it's nice to think about things you want to do in the new year and actually try to accomplish some of them. And so a few things did actually make it off the board and into real life. You'll see I kept it really simple with just the top corners having the border and the title, and then I added a few like little gold accents. That's something I started adding because it felt kind of bare on some of the headers, but I didn't really want to add stickers that are just there for no reason and kind of crowding it. So I felt like those little like gold accents kind of like helped make it a little more fun and whimsical. That's it. And next I'm setting up my 2025 memory spread. So here I'll put in a picture to represent every month, like one memory. I thought it'd just be a cute little highlight. I have this in my journal for 2024. I still have to print out the picture, so I'm excited to set that up. I decided to cut the borders a little smaller because the boxes and the photos are going to take the most space here, but I didn't like how that looked, although it'll come back later. I just used the regular corner borders that I was using in the first couple pages. Then here I'm tracing out the boxes, so there's 6 on each page to represent all 12 months. Although when I drew these boxes out, I wasn't really thinking about standard photo sizes, so this will be interesting. I'll probably have to crop photos or maybe put multiple really small photos in here. I'm not really sure yet. Also, if you hear stuff in the background, my dryer is going off and I always choose the worst time to do voiceovers. I'm not sure why. These always take me forever to record just because I kind of just, like spitball here when I'm explaining things. And so I added a drop shadow to each of the boxes and a couple little accents with the gold again. And since I filled those in, they're a little wet. You need to wait for like the gel ink to dry down a bit, so you see me check it a couple times. In the meantime, I decided to write each of the months in the little boxes just so it didn't feel so bare. Like, you won't see them because it'll get covered up, but I liked having it there just so it felt like more of a placeholder. Okay, next we're moving on to goals, reflections, and 2025 goals. These were interesting spreads because I wasn't really sure how I wanted to approach my goals for the new year. I didn't want to add too many, but I also didn't want to make it so simplified that they're like really abstract and it's kind of hard to achieve. So I wanted to give myself a couple reflection questions to think about what I want to focus in 2025, and I'll probably have like 3 big categories. My categories have literally been changing as I was thinking about these spreads, tracing this out, and as I'm doing this voiceover. But I think I'll most likely have like a wellness one, which kind of encapsulates everything like health, exercise, religion, stuff like that. And then a professional one, which is like my actual like day job, career, since this is my hobby and not my job. So I have like a regular 9-to-5 job. So I'm just kind of thinking about where I want to take my career and what I'm looking for next. And then I think the third one will probably be kind of hobby based. Like, what do I want out of my channel, my food blog that I've neglected for a few years in favor of everything else. Like, I moved, I switched jobs, a lot of other life stuff happened. You'll also see that I keep fixing the tapes because these tapes are like 3 years old. And one thing I didn't think about, which I should have, it makes sense, is that eventually washi tapes do start to lose their stickiness. It's not like they're super adhesive to begin with because they're meant to be like easily peeled on and off. These are losing their stickiness. So this is just another reminder to use the supplies that you actually have versus just like hoarding them and then never using them until you're trying to find it like a super special specific occasion for it. That's pretty much it for the goals pages. I've narrowed down a few reflection questions, but I'm not totally sure which ones I want to put here. So I left that blank, and same because I was still kind of figuring out what categories I wanted. I also left that blank. Now moving into a new spread for my yearly collections, which is someday projects. I've had something like this before where they're like 25 projects or whatever, 24, whatever the year is, projects I want to do this year, and I usually never get to them. Maybe like 1 or 2. So I feel like someday was a better title for it. I got that from Joshi Koren. I can just list a bunch of things, and I used a light gray Tombow marker to highlight every other row. It's a nice way to break up the page, kind of like on a spreadsheet, so you're not just looking at an all white background full of rows. Next up, again, this is a new one for me. I just felt like putting it in. I thought it'd be fun to do. It's like a 2025 ins and outs. You've probably seen this on social media as a trend over the last couple years. People thinking about like what's out for the new year and what's in for the new year, whether that's like trends, habits, traits, projects, like, things you want to improve on, things you want to leave behind. So I felt like that might be a thing to note down. It could be something as fun as like barbecue chips are in for 2025, which I think they will be for me because I've been obsessed with them lately, versus everything bagel flavored is out because it's old and we're sick of it and it's everywhere. So it could be something as light as that, or something more like serious or tangential you want to leave behind. That's pretty much it. Again, you'll see I'm just using washies and markers and a couple of stickers here and there to really decorate the pages, because again, these will be mostly text heavy, and so I want the focus to actually be on the content and not and not having these like super busy pages where I only have like 4 lines to write. Moving on, a new spread for me, at least at a yearly collection level, is this home project tracker. I've done a couple of these in the past, like right when I moved into my home, of like things I wanted to do to various rooms in my house, like setting up my bedroom, my office. And while those things are obviously set up, I've been living here for a few years, they're still not exactly where I want them to be, mostly aesthetically. Like functionally, it mostly work. I really do feel like you have to kind of use the space you're in and live in it for a while and figure out like what works and what doesn't for you. I've changed the layout of like my office a couple times, my bedroom, I think at least once, getting like different accessories for the bathroom, things like that. And I have a long list. I've actually, like, when I was looking at what I wanted to include for 2025, there were things that, like, I definitely changed my mind from 3 years ago or actually got done. So that was actually nice to see. So sometimes it pays off to look at your old spreads and to see your progress, or, you know, just how your thought process or your aesthetic or whatever changes. Anyway, I still have a bunch of things that I want to get done in several rooms, and so I'm going to put a list of items here. I'm going to assign it a point value, and then based on the points that I accumulate as I cross off a task, I can reward myself with something. So I'm basically gamifying this for myself. Maybe this will give me more of an incentive because I can get a reward, and I'm going to have rewards at different point value levels. So like I will have to accumulate X amount of points to redeem something. And I think even though I have, I think my levels start at like 25, 50, 100, and 200. I think some of the tasks, because they are pretty small, like might start at like 5 or 10 points. So I'll have to complete multiple things in order to collect enough points to redeem an item off this list. I don't know what the items are going to be yet, but like, you know, maybe it'll be something like go out for ice cream or get a new purse. Like not a super expensive purse, but like a new purse. And then maybe like the 200 level might be get a new camera for recording or something. That's something I've been thinking about buying. I've literally go through this every year and I put it off because my phone is really good quality. It's the same price, honestly. So I don't know. I just go back and forth. But anyway, like that's an example. And I use these stickers from Jola Co. or it's like La Jolla, so Hoya Co. I'm sorry if I butchered that. But I had these like little coin purse ones with little coins. I thought that would be fitting because you need to earn something to get it redeemed. That's pretty much it. The projects I'll be focusing on are my bedroom. There's like furniture I still want to paint, things like that. My office, which I'm like in all the time. I spend more time here than my bedroom. There's a lot of stuff accumulated in this office and I want to change the layout. Bathroom, just finishing touches here and there. And then my coffee station, which is part of my office, but it has its like own projects that I want to do, like fixing the cart and putting shelves up and stuff for more storage. It deserves its own category because it's that important to me. Next up, I'm setting up my content ideas spread the first half of the year. So I'll always end up writing in my iPad. That's where I do a lot of my brainstorming for quick things, even thinking about like layout spreads, just because I can move things around, erase and stuff without wasting paper. It's not something I really want to record in a journal or keep for later. I also do that with a lot of my content ideas, so I thought I'd at least focus on the first half of the year. Like I know there's certain things I'll want to put in like Q1, Q2 based on how I make my videos and plan with me's and stuff, and then also some unscheduled ideas that I can like slot in at any month. And I did actually go up to July because I was like, why did I create 8 boxes? But I think I'm going to change the July one to be theme ideas, because I have a few theme ideas. I end up writing them on my phone because I just don't want to forget, and like that's usually what I always have on hand. So I'm going to actually try to put it in there. So it just saves me from rewriting things over and over again, because I still do that, and that is actually what a bullet journal is meant for. So you can keep everything in one place without having to have it in like 10 different places. And I'll be using these stickers that I purchased from Savannah Scribbles. I also debated using some of these like Hinoki notebook therapy ones I had, but I thought I'd try out the Savannah ones. I will say these were great, good quality. I found them a little hard to peel. I don't know if it's just the paper or like the lines weren't printed, like perforated enough so it was easy to peel. So that was a little difficult, and you'll see I'll have difficulty with it later. But I think in general, like I really loved what I bought from Savannah. She also has a YouTube channel, and that's how I discovered her pages and spreads, and creativity is so inspiring and just so fun to see what she does, especially with like her blackout notebooks. So definitely check her out too. And I'll link everything below from her Etsy shop. Next up is my platform trackers. I always go back and forth on this because I'm not a fan of being obsessed over like a follower account, but at the same time it's cool to see the number ideally rise as like you're sharing content. So, and my numbers actually fluctuate a lot because I'm just not active on all of my platforms. Primarily, I did start out as a food blog. This channel, you'll see, has some really old food videos. And then I started getting more into creating the journal stuff. So I have things for each. But anyway, I wanted to track like Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, my bullet journal Instagram, which I haven't been using a lot lately, but I really plan to next year, especially if the clock app is gonna go. I gotta post somewhere. And then I have my journaling clock app, my blog. So I want to keep track of those. I just, take a look at the numbers at the beginning of every month and write them down, and I can kind of see some of the progress I've made. Like, I know which platforms actually give me more growth than others. I'm looking at Instagram, which is such a shame because I've loved Instagram for a long time. But anyway, it's cool to see like where people are finding my stuff at. Because a lot of times it feels like you're just posting into the void, and I don't always get a ton of engagement on things. I get engagement here and there, don't get me wrong, like comments and stuff, and I definitely appreciate it, but it's nice to see that actual growth. So anyway, I'm gonna keep doing that. And then next up, these will be my last two spreads that I'll be setting up for this journal. It's my playlist spread, so like what's the top song that I listen to each month. I really loved setting these up the last 2 years and figuring out like which song do I feel like really represented that month that I listened to a lot. So I'm going to do that again here. I'm going to print out the Spotify code, so then I could just pull up my phone, point at it, and then the song will pull up, which I think will be really fun. I filled out half of that spread for 2024, and so I'm looking forward to filling in the back half. And so this will be pretty blank for now because I don't have the info yet, but it'll look more filled in at the end of the year. And then on the other side will be a what I watched spread. Same format. I use this format for 2024. There will be 12 boxes, and I'll record what shows and movies I watched in that month. And I tend to watch a lot of TV, not like hours of TV in one day, but I cycle through a lot of series. There's a lot of mini series, or there's one season and then it takes 10 years for the next season to come out. So it's just fun to see all the things that I've watched, as well as movies. And I feel like this year I've been watching like random older movies, but also some current ones. So there's like a nice balance there. And it's just fun to have that list because a lot of my friends and coworkers know I watch a lot of things. And so they ask me sometimes for recommendations. And now I have a list I can reference because my brain goes blank when someone asks me something like that. And here I used the non-serif headers for the months on these two spreads just so they would match and stay the same. And that's it for this video and setup. I do have a couple book reading spreads. I'll be doing that with my 2024 reading wrap-up, so you can kind of see the stats that I put in for the end of the year and then setting up the pages for 2025. I was also really tired by the end of this. I filmed this video over a couple days, and same with editing and having technical issues, which is why this took so long. So you'll get that in a future video sometime in January is my goal. Thank you so much for watching. If you watched any part of the video, or especially if you stuck through this whole thing, because this video is like 25 minutes long, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I appreciate every view, follow, like, comment that I've gotten throughout the years, and hopefully you'll continue to join me in 2025. If you like this video, please make sure to subscribe for more videos, because I have a bunch of things planned for 2025, hoping I can get it all in. But stay tuned. I'm really excited to continue journaling in 2025. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.